Yeah, so I hope you guys don't mind. I'm just going to make this super chill for a couple of reasons. One, it's Sunday. Who's tired? Who's hungover? I'm actually not. I put a poll on Twitter, and I followed the good advice of having coffee instead of booze during my panel. Anyhow, so you're probably wondering who the fork am I, and what right do I have to speak about psychology of evil, and why are you here listening to me today? So I don't know if you guys read my bio from the website, but I studied cognitive neuroscience at Cambridge, and then after that I taught social and personality psychology at a super small liberal arts college in Western Pennsylvania. Any Pennsylvania people? No, I don't blame you. That's fine. From the south. Okay.
We live there. West Virginia.
Where do you live?
We used to live there.
PA, where?
In Allentown.
Oh, okay. Eastern PA.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about the psychology of evil, and depending how much time we have, we'll try to get to the heroism bit. So I want to start by, to you, and then I'll tell you a brief story. Do you guys like story time? Okay. My students always love story time, although they struggle to stay awake. So I won't blame you if you need a quick nap. Alrighty. So I'm sure you've heard this a few times before, but I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Anishinaabeg and Huron-Wendat. This ancestral land on which we stand upon today is still home to many indigenous people, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to be here. And now for my story. Okay, so this is about a real person. I'm going to disguise his name, but be looking for clues because I'm going to ask you afterwards if you know who I'm talking about. KJT left his first bomb at the University of Chicago with a return address for a professor at nearby Northwestern University. The package was forwarded to Northwestern, where it was opened by a campus security officer. The bomb exploded, and he sustained minor injuries. KJT's next bomb was supposed to explode on an American Airlines flight, but luckily, it failed to detonate. The next one he sent to the President of the United States, who at the time was Jimmy Carter. Predates many of us, including myself. He opened the package himself, and he too sustained minor injuries. 5 years later, KJT got his first kill. He'd left a bomb outside a computer store, killed the owner. Over the next 10 years, KJT's bombs killed 2 more people and injured a total of 23. Any guesses? Yeah. The Unabomber. Anyone know his real name? Ted Kaczynski. Thank you for knowing his real name and not just his unfortunate moniker. Can we go forward one slide? Yeah. Is there a clicker? That was my story of evil. Okay, so before we move on, did you guys know that that's Ted Kaczynski when he was a maths professor at Princeton? Yeah. Have you seen Manhunt Unabomber? So good, right? Yeah. He has a complicated history, much like our very own Bobo Del Rey. So I want to leave this behind for a second and then boy. I want to move on to this guy who's wearing a coat that Lady Gaga deemed maybe too much. Okay, so first thing is I have a brief video. Oh, how do I play the video?
Still, you've proven to be on our side. And now I want to show you what happens to the ones who aren't.
What are you going to do with them?
I'm not going to do anything. But you're going to drag him over to that wheel and chain him up. Cross the line.
What line?
The line that keeps us here. You see, when you drag a revenant across the line, it gets, ugly. But if you want to be in,
but it's you or me.
Please don't do this. Look at what I said. You're a good man. You got a cold. You don't want to do this. No.
You have no idea what I want. First Malcolm went rogue, then Red, and now Levi. All who fled our flock in a futile attempt to master a gun that, as of now, has only a mistress. Let no other revenant turn away from my guidance. On punishment of banishment and living hell on this earth.
New gay Waverly's a little judgy, though. I like the new sass and how you betrayed your sister.
You won't hurt me.
I won't help you either. Giving a shit about you has only caused me pain.
No one said parenthood was easy.
It's time to grow up, little girl.
No more growing up for Waverly. She's cooked.
Wynonna.
All I smell is fried bride.
Oh, look, sister. An appetizer for both of us.
Robert's fame.
Just dating bitch.
Not so into angels anymore then, Bobo.
Let's just say I got sick of betting on the losing team.
Okay, so what did we learn about Bobo just now besides the fact that he looks pretty good without a shirt on? This is the part where you guys can talk. Yeah, good point. He makes other people do his dirty work. Anyone else? You guys are just as quiet as my college students. Hopefully less judgmental, though. Okay, so I chose those two scenes because that's the Bobo that we knew. That's the Bobo that Emily wrote up until we saw the Vision Quest episode, right? So how many of you guys were fooled by those depictions of Bobo before we saw episode 208? Do we think he was evil? I did. I was like, fuck this guy. Can I swear? Is that okay? Okay. Right. And so he's referred to a number of times by other characters as a sociopath. So just to give you a really quick psych lesson, sociopath is roughly synonymous with psychopath, which is roughly synonymous with something called antisocial personality disorder. But for the purposes of today, sociopath covers it. So yeah, I highlighted some keywords, some labels that people apply to Bobo. Sociopath, puppet master, he's reduced me to nothing. And I mean, really, if the Jack of Knives, who's ostensibly based on sorry, Jack the Ripper is calling you the puppet master and saying that he makes the rest of us look like choir boys. That's pretty bad, yeah? Yeah. Okay. So I had a cool thing to make this really introvert friendly where you guys could participate from your phones, but technological difficulties. So we'll just do it by a show of hands. How many of you guys thought pre-episode 208 Bobo's a sociopath? Well, that's less than I thought. Okay, interesting. All right, so there's this thing that we do, right? We are always judging other people. You guys are judging the heck out of me right now, and I'm judging some of you, okay? It's something that the human brain just does all on its own without any sort of conscious thought. We look at other people's hairstyles and their clothing, and we infer from those things and make judgments about their personalities. Yeah? Okay. So the deal is that we look at people's behavior and we assume, the natural assumption that we make is that their behavior is an equal result of both their personality and the situations in which they find themselves. Making sense? Okay. Okay, but this is actually wrong. Okay? So they're not equally weighted. And that's what we call the fundamental attribution error, which sounds super boring and jargony, but it's actually really cool because the human brain makes a lot of mistakes, especially when it comes to judging other people. And I think it's really important to keep these things in mind because only by being aware of them can we actually stop ourselves from doing it. Okay? So the way it actually works, and I hope my animation works here. So the fundamental attribution error is that we as human beings, when we're making judgments of other people, what we do in our minds, again, unconsciously, is we overestimate the influence of personality factors and we underestimate the influence of situational factors. So thinking about that in the context of Bobo, okay, pre-208, he's a sociopath. He's evil. He's seems to be extremely vain, okay? But what are some of the situational factors that we learn about with Bobo?
Use the mic if they can hear.
Sorry?
They have to use the mic so the live stream can hear.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So moving away from Bobo for a second, can you guys think of any personal examples in which you committed the fundamental attribution error?
I mean, I'm a nurse student, and usually when we get patients in, like, often we judge their behavior on, like, oh, this is just a person. Like, people who come in with psychological issues, I see that often done by a lot of people who are just like, okay, that's their issue, and that's, like, with them, but the situation isn't taken into account, or people who have abused drugs, like something like that, and it's usually more attached to the person, and people judge that quite easily, especially when you see a lot of patients, then you don't take the time anymore to consider the actual, like, circumstances.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, is that it takes a lot more time to consider situational factors, yeah? Okay. Any other personal examples? I've already done it like 50 times today, so I know you guys have them. May I remind you that we're not live streaming?
Oh, well, then. No, never mind.
But we're not live streaming.
But even in the recording, to hear people, so.
Oh, no, I just meant for the introvert-friendly bit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, a brave person.
Sorry, I'm slow.
Hi, everybody. So I work with children, and one thing that people usually sometimes think is that when one person comes from a family, that all the children are the same. And I guess that's where you think the situation is bigger than what it is, and they're not always the same. Often within the same household, very different personalities. So I'm very different from my sister and my father.
Yeah, okay, another good point. All right, so do you guys feel like you have a good grasp of what I'm talking about here with the fundamental attribution error? Yeah? Okay, we're gonna move on, lest we run out of time. Okay, so we have another video on Bobo, and this is actually 2 scenes from the Vision Quest episode. So.
Your husband?
Clutie didn't need a gun.
He held me as a shield. In between him and Wyatt, he was gonna get away. I told Wyatt to take the shot. Bolt went straight through me and into the demon's heart.
You are a dear, brave friend.
Not dear enough.
Robert, my travels are delayed once more.
Doc Holliday's gone missing. Wyatt's gone looking for him instead.
Well, he does love John Henry, doesn't he? But to choose him over you?
Doc saved Wyatt's life. I just got in the way. I've been a good man. I deserve to be saved. I do.
Left Doc down there alone. Forever.
I had to. He was guarding something precious that needs to stay safe.
You were jealous, and you left him there to run. To rot.
Yeah, you're right. I confess. But it was a moment of weakness. And you're here with me now. My angel. Here to save my soul.
If you'd rescued Doc, everything might have been different, Bobo.
Bobo. Why are you calling me that? My name is Robert.
Bobo will be your name. When you're resurrected from hell. As a demon. Peacemaker.
Hello? Okay. So first of all, young Constance Clutie was hot. All right, so why in the heck did I start off by talking about the Unabomber and what does he have in common with Bobo Del Rey? This requires a little bit of advanced knowledge about the Unabomber. Yeah.
Well, this isn't really like knowledge, it's kind of intuition, but they were both normal people. I mean, at least I would get that from Ted Kaczynski. He's just a math professor. You wouldn't think somebody like that, would go setting off bombs, even though obviously he would have the knowledge to do it.
Yes. Okay, so he was a normal person until, does anyone know what happened to Ted? There are 2 big events. I know my wife knows. Yeah, I don't know.
Does it have to do with the Zodiac killer?
No.
Oops. Okay,
You're on the right track. Has anyone ever? I'll start with a less interesting one. Okay, so the first thing is that when little Teddy was a baby, he was put in isolation during what we call a critical period of development for the brain, and after he came out of that, the doctor said that there were noticeable personality changes in little Teddy. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is better. Who watches Stranger Things? Do you guys know what it's based on? Yes, Project MK Ultra, which is a CIA program, which conspiracy theory, some people still think is ongoing. And it's all about mind control. So they did all kinds of crazy shit, like they administered LSD to unknowing American citizens without their consent. That's some crazy shit, right? This was all taking place in the 60s and 70s. And so, poor Ted, when he was an undergrad at, Princeton, I think it was, Yale, Harvard. Harvard, he got involved with a professor named Henry Murray, who is coincidentally, if you look in any psychology textbook, he's famous for nothing other than being a renowned and well-respected personality psychologist. Seems a little unfair that he goes down in the history books one way, and then the guy who actually inflicted his torture goes down as a famous psychologist, yeah? Okay. So I wish I had a video clip of the torture that Ted underwent, but it was really fucked up. Henry Murray, this is, he read to Ted fake letters from his mother saying, "I don't love you, I never wanted a child, I never should have had you." It was just this really intense psychological torture. And so you can imagine, that's gonna fuck you up a little bit. Yeah? Okay, so I return to my question, what do they have in common? Bobo was a good man until what happened? Until he was betrayed, until he went to hell. Can you imagine? So they have two things in common, right? One is torture. They both underwent torture. And the other is what I referred to earlier, is isolation. So this we learned from Doc, actually, is that when he was in hell, I don't know if you guys remember this, when he was in hell, he was alone. Okay, so isolation and torture. Let's see. All right, so what do we think? Do we think that Bobo was a sociopath, or was he, in fact, a victim? How about a show of hands? So first for sociopath. Victim? Wait, keep them up, keep them up, keep them up. I feel like that's everyone. Okay, so we're really sympathetic toward Bobo. Okay, what about Ted? Do we think Ted was a sociopath? Okay. And victim. Okay, so overall we're less sympathetic toward Ted, but why? This is where you guys talk. Why are you guys less sympathetic toward Ted Kaczynski? It's because he's a real person? Yeah?
We're less sympathetic to him because, unlike Bobo Del Rey, we don't get to really see the inner workings of his mind. Like with Bobo Del Rey, we get to experience his journey through his eyes. We don't get to do that for Ted. Okay, exactly. So this is a really good point because this is exactly what combats the fundamental attribution error, right? That's what you were saying, right? Yeah. Yeah. I personally think both of them are sociopaths, but they are sociopaths that we made. They were not born sociopaths.
Yes, excellent point. So she just said she thinks they're both sociopaths, but they were made, not born. Okay? How many of you guys would agree with that? Yeah. So do we feel sympathy for them? Not for killing people. Okay. Well, fair enough. All right. So now's where it gets a little bit tricky. What do these two have in common?
They have trauma when they were younger.
They have trauma?
Yeah.
For sure. Someone here?
Sorry. Thank you. I mean, along those lines, even Nedley says, make no mistake, Wynonna is what we made her.
Ooh. You just took a quote right out of my video clip. That was Nedley, right? Oh,
Sorry.
Someone there?
This one here, and then I got you.
Okay.
They both kill.
Can you say again?
They both shoot people. They both kill.
Yes.
Move, dog.
Thank you guys for talking finally. This is great. The more you talk, the less I have to talk.
They ended up both doing trying to protect somebody they care about and everything, and then it ended up backfiring on them and affected the rest of their lives.
Yeah. So before we go to the next person, can we just take a moment to remember why Bobo became a revenant? Yeah, go back to her. Yeah.
Because he took a bullet for Wyatt that ended up going through him and that took down Bullshard.
Yeah. He's the reason that Bullshard is in that grave in the first place.
They're both trapped by something of not their own choosing.
Yes.
They both wanted to be heroes at some point.
I was going to get to this later, but I would argue that they both are heroes in their own way. Show of hands. Agree? Disagree? Wait, who disagrees? Get out.
They both saved Waverly.
Yeah, they both saved Waverly. That's a good point. But as we saw it was the second Bobo clip where it's right after Waverly says that great line about she calls the widows shit strumpets. Unfortunately, I had to crop that out for time, but I really didn't want to. Yeah, what does he say? Wife, help me out. He says something. Yeah, he's done protecting her. It's nothing but pain. Thank you. Yeah, so at the end of season 2, he makes his choice. He's like, I'm sick of betting on the wrong side. Fuck this. I'm going to go full evil. Because that's what you all think I am anyway, right? Yeah? Just like bobblehead. Okay. Okay. So what do they have in common? All right, so let's watch the Wynonna video.
Something took his head, Gus. Something or someone.
Oh, Wynonna.
I know who killed him, and I got a plan.
That's not what I meant. You got that wild look in your eyes. Manic, paranoid. Probably off your meds. Well, what's next? More demons?
Yeah, I might be certifiable. Got the paperwork to prove it.
But something awful is happening in Purgatory, and it has everything to do with my last name.
You're not the only Earp in town.
Waverly has worked so hard just to get out from under your shadow. I know it's your birthday, so
Don't worry about it.
Enough for a one-way ticket back to Athens.
So this is your gift for me?
And for your sister. I love you, Wynonna. But you're as broken as they come.
You know me.
You have been a plague on this town. Destroyed a lot of lives. And you were a royal pain in my ass.
She's also the only shot we got of getting out of this mess. I know you're sick. I know that you're scared, so am I. But that man out there, Bobo Del Rey and his ilk, they're not like us. They've never been like us. If we do this, if we turn into the angry mob of ignorant villagers that he thinks we are, if we kill one of our own, and make no mistake, Wynonna is what we made her. If we do that, then, well, hell, we'll just be like them.
Doc Holliday. The Doc Holliday.
Carlos, what happened to your face?
You and a knife, and I cannot wait to return the favor.
You shoot me. It's gonna be one hell of an explosion.
Oh yeah, I've seen your work up close. Are you here to confess? About the power plant, lumberyard, Nedley's house.
Sheriff Nedley?
Yeah.
No, I would never. My God, is this what we are without her?
Her? She was.
She's everything. And she has been taken, or worse, erased.
Bulshar wants to keep us hating each other. That way we can't come together and take out our real enemy, him.
You really think you can do it, Earp?
Not by myself. I was never going to be able to do it by myself. Meanwhile, we're stuck in a meat factory and we're running out of wine. So what do you say? Anybody want to go break a goddamn curse?
Anyone want to go break a goddamn curse? Okay, so 4 clips spanning all 3 seasons. What do you guys think those clips show? Why did I choose them? The first 2 have something in common, and the second 2 have something in common. Yeah, we have someone here.
Well, the first thing that I thought of was that Wynonna's the reluctant hero.
Yeah.
She didn't, want to have anything to do with this shit, but she had to do it. So, from the beginning, there's Gus, who is like, yeah, you're crazy, get out of here. Second clip, Nedley's like, yeah, you're a pain in my ass, but you're our only hope. Third clip, she's like, okay, let's get this shit done. She knows she has to, but she has to get other people to join her, and they're willing to do it.
Yeah. So, after that first clip, what do we think of Aunt Gus? Thank you. Aunt Gus is I don't know why people like Aunt Gus. She's horrible. Okay, we got 2 people.
I would like to know what it is that Gus knows. Gus has to know what was going on. Why is she... Well, it appears she's protecting Wynonna.
hadn't thought about it that way. Protecting her from what specifically?
Everything.
From her birthright, you think?
Yeah. If she's not there.
Ah. Well, that threw a wrench in things.
She had to have known. Her sister had to have told her.
Huh.
Her sister Michelle had to have told her what was going on in the Earp family. She had to have known.
Yeah.
And with Wynonna gone, Wynonna's safe. And Waverly's safe for at least another 6 years.
Or forever.
Or forever, as long as Wynonna stays alive.
I had never... Did anyone else's mind just get blown? Whew. Yeah. Can we clap for you?
Yeah, and then she accepts it so quickly when Wynonna finally does step up.
Yeah, in the next episode, they're in the bar, right?
Yeah.
And she's just immediately doesn't even question it.
Right.
She's just, oh, this is a thing, get away from them. Yeah.
So, wow. Okay. I'm sorry.
But maybe it's the same thing with everyone else in the town that I kind of know, but I are in denial about it. And Gus is probably part of that, right? So Nedley says it at some point that everyone just ignores it, and I kind of know, and that would at least explain her reaction to it. Oh, this is happening. Okay, well, this is a demon now.
Nedley definitely knows. Oh, yeah.
Okay. But what you're describing is like a much more conscious kind of like that Gus really thought about this. If Wynonna comes back.
Gaslighting her.
Yes.
You're crazy. She keeps gaslighting her, and she goes away.
Ooh.
She'll be safe.
So she's...
I love you, Nona.
I love you, but I'm going to treat you like shit to protect you. Which actually fits. That's a theme in the... See, again, you just blew... That's why I wanted you guys to talk, because you guys have so much more interesting things to say than I do. Okay, let's go to someone else.
I've thought about it too, because every time Gus had a little bit extra, she wanted the girls gone. The minute she had the opportunity and she sold Shorty's, she gave Waverly that money and said, I want you to get out of here. And I think maybe in the whole we're going to ignore what's going on here thing, Gus and the rest of the town thought that as long as the Earp girls weren't there, everything was going to remain status quo and they could ignore the smaller stuff. But once the killing starts, the revenants fight back and everyone's in the crossfire.
Okay, so you just blew my mind too, because I just had a realization. I'm going to go back a couple slides. Did we not just do that to Aunt Gus? We did. We were aware of it. I'm a fucking psychologist, and I did it to her. I'm sorry, Aunt Gus. Take good care of Alice. Wow. Thank you both for saying that.
I actually had a thought about Gus too. Part of it, like, it could be like, as they said, like she was trying to protect Wynonna from coming back to purgatory and everything, and, you know, looking out for Waverly, but also like that she ended up reminding her a lot of Michelle, because that's what I was thinking too. It's just sort of like Waverly was like Willa was a lot more like Ward. Waverly was a more like Julian, and then Wynonna's a lot more like Michelle. So it's sort of like seeing her sister again, and that might have been a little more difficult for her too.
Yeah, family. Am I right?
Yep.
Who else?
I just want to go back to what we said about how people keep putting like Wynonna in shitty positions to protect her.
Yeah.
Nedley did that too. Like they all did that when they sent her to the psychiatric hospital, right? They sent her away. They're like, and Nedley said this is to try to get her on a straight and narrow, to get her better and to make her more available for Waverly. And it's like shitty situation, but I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to get you to be more quote unquote like normal.
Yeah, but the question with Wynonna is, was she ever off the straight and narrow? Or did they push her off?
She was pushed.
She was gaslighted. Yeah, and that's why I put these quotes up here is to show to the extent to which Wynonna internalized these labels that other people put on her. Like in the scene with Aunt Gus. Aunt Gus is telling her she's crazy, and we now are looking at that as gaslighting, which I actually prefer, okay? Redeems Aunt Gus a little bit. But yeah, Wynonna's like, yeah, I'm certifiable, and I have the papers to prove it. Can you imagine thinking something like that about yourself until you're 27 years old? There was over there. I've been waiting a while. See you.
So I was just wondering, like, it also seems that in the beginning, like in that first scene with Aunt Gus, she was probably also in denial. Like, she probably heard from Michelle, like, all these things. So that was like a one last ditch attempt at being like, maybe this is all fake. But then, like, when that next episode, like, she just was forced to accept it. She was like, might as well, like, go with it. And piggybacking off of how people were gaslighting Wynonna, that probably reflects in how people treat Waverly as well, because instead of gaslighting Waverly, they just don't tell her things. And, like, that's probably, like, Wynonna's way of being like, was treated this way, and I don't want you to be treated the same way as well.
Yeah, can you say the very first bit again? Because it made me think of something and then I lost it.
Aunt Gus was probably in denial, like, that whole time. Like, with Wynonna leaving, it was just kind of like, this is normal. Can't we just be normal for a little bit? And then when she came back, it was forced to start everything up again, and she probably just didn't want to acknowledge it.
Right. And yeah, and that's, so speaking of mistakes that the human brain makes, another one is that we like to, we're ostriches, right? When something is scary, we bury our heads in the sand. Yeah? So, like, that's what you're talking about, I think, is that it's a lot easier to be in denial about what's going on in purgatory than to actually face it. And then this kind person has been waiting forever, I think.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Everybody in this town is already kind of in denial. They've been in denial for a long time, but who does Wynonna pick to take care of her child? Gus?
Yeah. Aunt Gus.
What mother would do that?
Yes.
I mean, she knows Gus, and she knows she's in denial. Everybody is. And she knows it's a screwed up town.
Yeah.
So I like Gus. She supported Wynonna. I mean, she cleaned up the demon crap on the floor with Waverly.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Key moment.
She's been a supporter of Wynonna since she came back. And I agree with that woman over there. I agree with you. I think she's been in Wynonna and Waverly's court, but she's been doing it in a very dysfunctional way because it's a screwed up town anyway.
Yeah.
And I just had to figure everybody's kind of fucked up anyway.
No. I think it's a great point. And I think the reason I didn't think of that is I'm not a parent. But I think that's a really good point that as a parent, you would choose someone to raise your child that's the ultimate trust, right? Any other comments? No?
Bobo was on that bus too, as far as why you get so pissed off with the revenants, you lure her back. It's like, if she stays gone, we're okay.
Right. Right, yeah.
Shout louder. I got one. I found one.
My take on Wynonna being sent to the psychiatric hospital when she shot Ward was there was a kind of decision that the adults in her life thought she could have a better, normal, demon-free life, even as a juvenile murderer, and that it was better to force her into the situation where she was forced to believe and told that she shot her father because she's crazy than have to face having to fight demons. They probably thought it was safer for her, and they made the decision that rather than tell her the truth, they were going to give her a normal, non-revenant, no paranormal stuff life.
I like this. Okay, so again, they were trying to give Wynonna a situational factor to blame her behavior on, rather than thinking, I shot my dad. I'm evil. There's something wrong with me. That's what you were saying, right? Yeah? Okay. Well, yeah. All right, so since we're coming up on time, what made... So we see like a real divergence between these two after at about the end of season 1, right? So Wynonna has finally accepted her birthright, and Bobo just wants to get the fuck out of the Ghost River Triangle. And he's going to lie and manipulate to do it, yeah? So what made the ultimate difference between them? Like when Bobo makes his choice, I'm going with the Revenants, I'm sick of betting on the wrong side. Can we go back there?
The way I see it is that it's more or less a moral issue at this point. Wynonna takes her birthright and the situation she's been given, and she decides to protect all. Whereas Bobo takes the situation he's been given and decides to protect himself.
Good point.
Sorry, man. Well, also, she also chooses to protect because she has Waverly, and she knows that Waverly loves her, and she knows that Gus and Nedley, they all love her. It may be in they show it in a shitty way, but she knows that they love her. But who does Bobo have? Bobo has no one.
You just blew up my spot. Yeah, so obviously Waverly, but I think in rewatching the series, and I fully admit that I've probably watched it a lot less than you guys have. I only started watching the show in like April, and it was because of donuts. I feel like Mel would approve, though. Yeah? Okay. I think Dolls was the first person to really believe in Wynonna, to see her potential, and to give her a purpose. Validation. Yeah. So Wynonna, in this particular scene, she's all ready to explain away her criminal rap sheet, right? And he's the first person to say, like, no, you don't have to apologize for yourself. You were 16 years old. And we all make mistakes. And then later on, Wynonna says, I'm going to put you in the ground like it's my job, because you know what? I'm starting to think it is. And that's when we see that she has internalized, this is my birthright. I'm taking this on. You had a comment.
I just wanted to make the point, too, that kind of dovetails from that one of the key differences between Wynonna and Bobo is that Wynonna can leave. She can run away. She has run away. She's gone off into the world, but he's stuck there. And if she has an out and he doesn't have an out, and she has support and he doesn't have support, then their choices from those situations are going to be completely different. Even though ultimately they have the same goal, breaking the curse, right? They're on the same side.
But they don't realize it at first. Yes. So, not ready for that yet? Okay. So yeah, you made a couple really good points. One is that Wynonna has an out, whereas Bobo is effectively in a prison. And the other one is that just reiterating the point that Wynonna has support. She has people that love her. And that is a really important point that I want to make to you guys today, is that there are so many things that put you at risk for mental illness. So we called Bobo sociopath, right? But we said that he was made, not born. All it takes is one positive and supportive relationship to make the difference between sociopath and not. That might seem like an extreme view, but it is true. So for Wynonna, it's Waverly and it's Dolls. I'd say it's Doc, but he's a selfish fuck. Is he not? He is. I think he's kind of worse than Bobo in certain ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Retweet. Oh, I did it again. But you see, like, this is how fallible the human brain is, right? So I think it's just really important to be aware of these sorts of things. So obviously, the whole purpose of the workshop, I think this is my last slide. What is evil and what's the takeaway? Let's just go to what's the takeaway? What do you guys take away from this? And we'll wrap up with that in the next 5 minutes. Say things.
Okay, I saw you first.
I mean, I guess the general is just like, be aware that you're making these judgments about people and recognize that you're making these judgments without the whole story, and try to, at least I, like, when I'm aware of those things, I try to correct and say, okay, well, what is another reason that this person could have made this decision, whatever it is, be it like, this is the shirt they put on this morning, to, they ran that red light. Like, what was the reason?
Yeah, and that actually ties into this question quite nicely. So thanks for reading my mind. What is evil? I think the prevailing theory in the field of psychology, and this is a question that spans so many different fields of inquiry, is that evil is a lack of empathy. So it's not the presence of something bad. It's the absence of something good. It's something that's lost from the human experience. And I think we can see with Bobo and with Ted Kaczynski that it was through being tortured and isolated that they lost that fundamental part of themselves that made them human. Literally, in the case of Bobo, he lost his humanity. So, in turn, then approaching people like Bobo and Ted Kaczynski without empathy, does that make us, in some small way, evil? Because I think evil is the small things. I don't think it's the big things. So, anyone else on what's the takeaway or what is evil?
Okay. I was agreeing with what you said. It's like a lack of empathy with some folks. Like, they're aware of what they're doing is wrong, but then they don't give a crap at all and everything. Like, with Bobo, when he was Robert, he did care a lot, but then it was chipped away each time he went down to hell and everything. And Wynonna, she went through like some of the worst things out there. Like, we still don't know her whole backstory and everything, but then somehow, despite all that, like, past all those darkest moments and everything, she has this family she cares for and everything, and that, despite all of her flaws and everything, is able to help her, like, sort of like gain that confidence in herself and make her like, I am the heir, I am the guardian, and I'm able to do these things and everything. Like, she could have gone into a whole different direction and everything, but no, she chose to stay and help out and do what she can.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I see you. Excuse me. Pardon me.
You say we made them
and evil, but I don't think so. I think every time you have the possibility to make a decision, and that is evil, with which decision you make.
Is there anyone else? What's the takeaway? I'll say mine if no one else. Approach people with empathy. So empathy literally means feeling into. So just try to feel into another person's experience. Consider their background, the situations, their circumstances before you form a judgment of their personality. That's the takeaway for me. And as Greg Lawson would say, and now I'm done talking.